Wait,
Cool.
hot take. I'm looking at his filmography. Did you know that Adam Sandler apparently played Satan in the 1998 film Dirty Work?
I feel like I knew he played Satan in something. That was not it. I don't know what
just real life
about me as a person thinking that he played Satan in something, but hey. Right. Okay. So welcome back to another episode of Quarantine Review Crew, where we sit in our rooms, watch movies or television shows, and then talk to each other about them. Times later. I'm the host with the least because I'm so tired. Jenna. We didn't figure out what characters or objects were going to be in this film yet, so we'll decide that as we go along. But if you guys want to introduce yourselves, go for it.
I'm gonna say my name. My name is Harry. I don't know what I am yet. We'll find out. That's all I got.
Hello. I'm Aubrey, and I've decided that I'm going to be the broke-ass treehouse that never got fixed.
Okay. There's only one person left.
Hear me?
Yes.
Oh, crap. Okay. Hi, my name is Will, and I want to be Adam Sandler, but only in the scene where he's dying.
Which one? He almost died multiple times.
She got you there.
Okay.
The one where he's surrounded by all of his family?
No, the one where he's alone in the street, right?
Oh, so right before his family, when he falls.
Yes, when he falls. That's what I meant.
Gotcha. I'm trying to think of like what I want to be. Oh, I want to be Adam Sandler's shadow when he's fast forwarding through sex the second time and Peanut tries to hump him and he knocks Peanut off. That's who I am. I'm that specific shadow sequence. I don't know if Harry or Cloris has figured out what they want to be yet, but
Go ahead.
I am the Bed Bath & Beyond employee from the beginning. Yep. That apparently is not a Bed Bath & Beyond employee.
I also realized that person and that person specifically, can't remember his name, I'll look it up. He plays that role in almost every single film he is in. It is almost always that role. He's not always a Bed Bath & Beyond guy, but he's almost always that awkward, little clingy guy in every single film he's in.
Now, I am stuck because I'm tempted. There's so many options here. I'm tempted to be the remote, but at the same time, Christopher Walken's character is named Morty, and that's a pretty Jewish name. I think that embodies me more.
You don't think
it's Christopher Walken and the name is Morty, which is pretty Jewish.
Is Christopher Walken Jewish?
I have no idea, but I mean, I think he's an honorary Jew. I think I'm willing to give him that. Let's look it up.
Only you can give him that status. None of us can confirm nor deny that status because we are not Jewish. Okay, so last week when we talked about this film at the end of our last episode, I talked about how excited I was to watch this because it is one of my favorite Adam Sandler's movies. Looking back on that, I think I can say that. He's not Jewish. Okay, cool.
He's Scottish and German.
Interesting.
Yeah. but I'll just be Morty. It's fine.
Okay. Yeah, so I think I can still say it might be one of my favorite Adam Sandler's movies because I'm not really like a big Happy Madison fan overall, and I mean like the brand, not just the movie Happy Madison. So yeah, so maybe Uncut Gems will be like my favorite Adam Sandler's movie once we watch that next week. But as of right now, this is like still my favorite Adam Sandler's movie with like the Grown Ups series in like a close second and third. So yeah. How did you guys feel about it? Do you guys want to do overall thoughts first and then kind of dive deeper? Or do y'all want to like deep dive and then overall thoughts and conclude? It's up to y'all. A thumbs up is not an answer. Ask the question.
I think that I don't know. We don't most of the time. We do like overall thoughts at the end and kind of just like go through this like the story and do a deep dive as we go and then do an overall at the end.
Yeah, we're gonna do overalls twice, and so I'm trying to be concise this time. So it's up to you. We can do it now or do it.
I think it's a good way to end it.
Okay.
I'd rather do it later because sometimes my opinions change once I hear you guys' thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Me
All
too.
right. So is there anywhere you guys specifically want to start with discussion? Want to talk about how it's problematic, what you liked, what you didn't like? Where do you want to start?
I think that a good place to start is Bed Bath & Beyond is consistently one of my favorite stores. It's just a good store. So I mean, like, kind of happy. I was happy to see it.
You end up. Oh, go for it.
I think of this movie every time I go into a Bed Bath & Beyond. I'm like, isn't that where Adam Sandler got that remote from?
What I do enjoy about this film is that, or not about the Bed Bath & Beyond scene in particular, is that Adam Sandler leaves his house to get a universal remote, and Best Buy and Staples are closed, but Bed Bath & Beyond is open. That does not work. Where I live, Bed Bath & Beyond closes before Staples and Best Buy. So I was like, I don't know where you are in the country, but this does not make sense.
It kind of treats it like a Denny's, you know? Because like no one says like, oh, let's go to Denny's. It's only because other restaurants are closed, right?
That's a fair point. That's actually a really good comparison. No one's let's go to Denny's. You settle for Denny's.
That's not 100% true.
Well,
Jenna, have you ever said, let's go to Denny's?
Yes.
When?
Yeah, I have too.
My friend used to work at Denny's, so I used to go there all the time to bother her. And the food's also not that bad. Plus,
yeah,
my dad's like old coworkers, like my dad's old boss, her and her husband used to go like every weekend or whatever, like once a weekend just to have like coffee and talk and not like be in the house. So my dad used to go all the time. So like Denny's isn't that bad. I like IHOP more than Denny's. A what?
Norms. It's like a Denny. It's literally a Denny's equivalent. I'm pretty sure that. Here, let me send a picture to the group chat of a like, Norms.
That is most definitely a West Coast thing because all of us were like unanimously, huh?
Yeah, Norms.
I do think like Denny's and Waffle House and Bed Bath & Beyond have like a certain like Feywild vibe about them. Like you just never know what's gonna happen there.
There's this book called After Dark, I think, by this Japanese author, Haruki Murakami. He also wrote Kafka on the Shore, which I think is his.
Ooh, I love that book.
Yeah. But that book starts like something like midnight or like 2:00 in the morning at a Denny's in Tokyo, and it's like where all like these weirdos come out. It's a good book.
I sent y'all a picture of Norms.
Okay, well, I'm gonna go unanimously look at it while we're on live. Okay, this looks all right. I can see how this is the Denny's equivalent.
Yeah, it's a Denny's
the
equivalent.
triangles.
What?
It's got like it's cool. I like the triangles.
Yeah,
On the sign.
the logo's nice. It goes when you go in a Denny's or not a Denny's, a Norm's, it has pictures all around of like older looking Norms and like retro looking Norms. Like all of the pictures in a Norms are about Norms.
But like Norm's itself is already retro before you even go inside.
Yeah.
So my question is, has there been a new Norms? Because you know how like we never assume there's new Denny's. Like all Denny's just feel like they've been there 16 or more years, and they just updated them with the times.
I have never seen a Norms being built, nor have I seen it under construction.
Okay.
Nor have I seen it being like renovated, so I'm just assumed that they spawn and exist until the end of time.
Okay, cool. We're like the cockroaches of West Coast dining establishment. Got it.
Yeah.
If that sign fell over, could kill someone.
It's taking down power
that's a fair
lines.
point. I think I've actually been to that one too.
Well, I don't know how many Norms there are. Maybe all Norms look the same, like all Denny's look the same. Actually, that's a lie. There are fancy Denny's. And you all should know what I'm talking about because they're the Denny's. There's like the regular Denny's, and then there's like Denny's diners. And those are like the nicer looking ones. Those are the ones that look like
regular.
Yes, regular Denny's. I'm trying to keep the alliteration going. Thank you. But there's like the regular basic Denny's, and then there's like the Denny's diners or whatever, and those are the ones that like look like they're like straight out of the 50s, even though all Denny's already look like that. But they just spruced it up to look extra 50s.
So, in case y'all were wondering, the picture, not the main picture, but the second and third picture, like the two underneath the big picture, are of the same Norms, and that is like a 5-minute drive from my house. So I've been to that one.
It's nice. I'm going to include a little picture of the Norms in the video that I'm going to show so everybody knows what we're talking about. But is Bed Bath & Beyond everybody's favorite part of this movie?
Yeah, it was pretty good. I mean, it's probably my favorite set piece in the movie, just because it's just so like out there, you know.
Was it actually in a Bed Bath & Beyond?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
it looks to be.
There's no way to like recreate that kind of sweet smelling, but also very stale air that is it. And you all know what I'm talking about. It kind like it doesn't. It smells when you walk into a Bed Bath & Beyond. It smells clean, but also like no one's been in the store at the same time.
It smells disinfected.
Yes.
But also like stale soap.
Yes. Yes.
And
exactly.
I was gonna say depression, but I don't think that it's
no. The Bed Bath & Beyond. You know what I used to confuse Bed Bath & Beyond with? Bath and Body Works.
Me
Not
too.
because they're similar at all, but because of the bees.
I was just like, the word bath is in both of them, and how often do like companies have the word bath in their name?
True.
Like there are two of them. What?
There was a bath house.
Yeah, like they're. I don't know.
Okay. I think we should. I don't know. I kind of want to keep it positive up top. So, what did we like besides the Bed Bath & Beyond?
Oh man, I shouldn't have spoken up. I mean, Adam Sandler, like, he has this vibe where, like, I just can't help but laugh at him. Like, just no matter, like, what the movie is. Like, I've never seen Uncut Gems, but, like, I figured that movie probably would be hilarious because it's just Adam Sandler trying to act serious, and I can't take him seriously. He's just the funny guy, you know.
I get that.
So
Yeah.
I enjoyed that part of the movie.
Adam Sandler is definitely a comic relief kind of character, so seeing him in a serious role is off-putting.
They saying this is his serious role?
No, I'm just saying in a movie like Uncut Gems where he has a serious role. I mean, I haven't seen Uncut Gems, but I've heard that he has a serious role.
Yes.
So I feel like this kind of movie is definitely more his speed, where it's like, you know, like my belief has been suspended to the point that, like, sure, I'll buy that you bought a universal remote that can teleport you through time at a Bed Bath & Beyond.
Well,
But-
he didn't buy it. He didn't buy it. It was just gifted to him by the
Oh,
angel of death.
Right. Sorry, it was gifted to him. You were given a remote. This is such a far-fetched plot.
Yeah.
Yeah, like,
Saying it out loud is just like, wow, really?
do they even
I-
sell remotes at Bed Bath Beyond?
I think
I
they
don't think
do.
so.
Well, maybe in 2006, right?
Yeah, maybe
I
not in
I've
2006,
seen on
but
TV.
I know I've gone into a Bed Bath and Beyond and seen a universal remote.
Okay,
So
fair.
That must
You
be.
know, just thought that's weird.
when
See,
I
like the plot seems like far fetched for now in 2020, but back in 2006, man, that'd be like, hell yeah, like that's a good idea, you know?
I mean, go for it.
Oh, the struggle of like him pushing like the TV remote and the garage door would open, you know, something like that. Like that is such an like early or mid 2000s thing to deal with.
Like bits in the movie that are like like make me remember like what it was like to be a kid in like the early 2000s, where like
Freaking
I
dragon
would see all
tails.
these dragon tails. But yeah, like the bit with the garage remote and like trying to turn on the TV, and it was just like what that has never happened to me, but I've seen it in a lot of like movies and shows.
Also, who has a remote to their ceiling fan? Because that was like the first.
Yeah.
Dang.
I literally 5 minutes ago turned on my light. You know what's funny? You know what's really funny? There's a remote to the ceiling fans in my house, and every room there's a ceiling fan.
I mean,
That is utterly ridiculous. Why do you have a ceiling fan remote?
Because there's no pull cords on my ceiling fan.
I don't have pull cords on any of my ceiling fans at my house. We
And
have
there's a light. There's a light, and there's a fan, and the switch. I like to have my fan on when I sleep, so we turn off the light with the remote to the ceiling fan.
Is this how all houses in California are built? Because in my house, we have a switch for the light and then a second switch for the fan. So you can always turn the light off and you can just.
But we just got it, like new fans put in.
check this out.
Okay. Oh, so these are fancy fans.
They're fancy. Yeah, we don't have those pull cords. It's a nice fan. My old fan was like literally, if I turned it on, it would shake back and forth and like almost fell out of the ceiling. Like it was.
I don't like that.
Yeah.
You're like, who has a ceiling fan remote? And I was debating before I got on the call. I'm like, should I grab my ceiling fan remote so I can keep it? Because most of the time I just keep it like against the wall. And I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I don't want to have to like make a big deal about getting up to go turn on the light if it gets too dark.
All right.
So,
Well, never mind. But to go
but
back
yes,
to what
I can
I
understand how a ceiling fan remote is a little bit ridiculous.
hilarious. But going back to what Audrey was saying earlier about what you guys were saying, how this plot would be far-fetched in 2020. I don't think so. I can imagine this being like a Black Mirror episode. Couldn't y'all see it?
Yeah.
With like
I
a remote
definitely
where y'all can like.
I can see the edginess like potential, where it's like, oh, you got a remote that helps you travel through time.
Yeah,
And
I don't think like the comical origins of how he acquired the remote would work in 2020, but like a movie or a television show about a man who acquires a remote control that can help him fast forward or whatever through life. I don't see why you couldn't.
Here's how it worked in a Black Mirror episode. Okay, it would be like a young, like teenager, like teenage boy living in like London, right? And then he would go to Tesco, and they would have a universal smartphone app that allows him to do that. And at the end, he always has to die.
Yes, you're not wrong. You're not too far-fetched, so I believe it.
I'd watch it. Yeah, I'd watch it.
Yeah, I don't really watch Black Mirror, but I think I'd watch that episode. Okay, what else did we like, or do we just have gripes? Because we're finding very sparse likes.
I feel like this movie, like, it's just in the category to me of like fine movies. Like there's really nothing extraordinary about it, but the things I have issues with, I think it's less of the movie being like outdated and maybe more of like the audience appealing to. Like, to me, it just seems like it's appealing to like the white man in his 40s, you know. That kind of makes sense.
Like, this is absolutely a movie that my dad would show me, like, this is the funniest movie I've ever seen, or like chuckle a couple times.
I feel like this could also be like I could also just see like a bunch of 20-year-old frat boys in like 2006 going to the movie theater to go see this together, or maybe like they finally TiVo it and have like a really weird movie night thing with the bros in the front of the house. It's like a bonding exercise where they all.
It's a
they
bonding
all-
exercise where you go see,
Click.
where you watch Click.
I'm trying to think of like other things that I liked in this movie. There's a lot of my likes come at like the end of the movie, and it's because of the acting in the movie and not the movie itself, if that makes sense. It's like the acting in the movie and not the movie itself. So like I don't know, for like the first 50 minutes of the movie, maybe, Adam Sandler is very much like one-dimensional slapstick, very kind of like, ha ha ha, look at me, make my very funny jokes. And then like at like 50-minute point, it's like, oh, we're starting to get serious, because like what would the actual repercussions be if this actually happened? And then that fully devolving into like watching his life kind of crumble and fall. It's not really entertaining, but I feel like aside from the bits where like Adam Sandler is still trying to inject comedy into these very serious topics, I think it's fairly good. My favorite scene in the movie, though, has like 100% always been like the first really good pause scenes. It's the one where he pauses Kevin and his son when they're playing catch, and he gets the kid hit in the face. Like one of my top favorite jokes. And the other one is when he like pauses and like slaps his boss, because that is also very funny. Outside of that, there's not a lot that like I can watch today and be like, yes, hilarious. It's just like those two specific scenes.
Yeah, most of the time but it was out of pain and not actual funniness. But the one time that I actually kind of laughed was when he was dying in the road in the rain, and
Yes.
he flips off friggin' Sean Astin, and then he's like, no, 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 and then like that was the only part where I actually
Yes.
laughed.
Yeah. One of my favorite like running, I guess, bits in the whole film is that like this grown man is like dealing with like all of this crap at work, dealing with like regular marital and family strains of trying to provide a better life for his kids than he has. So like it's relatable. But that his actual arch nemesis in the whole film is like a 9-year-old kid who's his neighbor. Like, I think that has to be my favorite running joke in the whole film. Like, it just has to be. Especially when he's like smoking the cigar and he's like real sad about not getting the promotion. And Kevin's mom comes outside and she's like, I didn't know you smoked. And she was like, actually, I don't. I got it from Kevin. And I think there's marijuana in it. And she like loses her mind. And Kevin's like, no, that's not true. And I'm like, obviously not. And the fact that like this 40-year-old man is like is able to like get you in this much trouble. It's so ridiculous that it's my favorite bit in the whole movie.
I think that might be one of the redeeming parts of this movie, where it's like sure, some of the jokes really miss or like are not okay, but I mean, hey, he has an arch nemesis with a 9-year-old, or was he 9?
I don't know how old Kevin was. I think Kevin's
some kid.
Yeah, I'm saying 9 because his kids can't be older than like 9 and 7 or something like that. So if at most Kevin's like maybe 10 or whatever. So yeah. But I can also look up how old good old Sweeney Todd face is.
Sweeney Todd face.
He's not in Sweeney Todd. What movie is he in? He's in some film, and every time I see him, I'm like, oh, you're a bad person. And then I get really uncomfortable. Joker. He's in Gotham. That's what show he's in.
Oh.
And he's in Shameless. So.
I love Shameless.
Come on. I need my calculator. 2006 minus 1993. So he was 13 when they were filming the movie, or when the movie came out. So the movie came out in 06. They probably started recording in 05. So he was like 11, 12. So Kevin's like 11, 12. And then his kids are like maybe like 9 and 6 or something like that. Because they're little. And kids' ages don't make sense to me at all unless they are actually related to me. And even still don't make sense to me. My dad's friends with my dad's friends with
Sorry, the kid was Cal Kestis in Jedi Fallen Order. He was like the face capture and the voice and stuff.
That's funny. Wild. What I was saying is more tangential because like my dad is friends with someone and their son is like, I think he's turning 14 this year, but the last time I saw him, I could have sworn he was like 11. So I was like, when I was reintroduced to him and he was 11, I was like, what is going on? I was like, there's a glitch in the matrix. But I was wrong, everybody else was right, so can't argue with that. Okay, so are there any more positive takeaways before we get into our dislikes / criticism?
It wasn't that bad, you know. I've seen worse movies, much worse movies, and like this was it was serviceable because I don't know. I like at least it had a plot, you know. You can't say that about some movies. And at least it had like sort of a unified vision. and so that I can really appreciate that. But aside from that, let's take it away with the hate.
Anyone else?
I have two things to say, but I forgot one of them.
Okay.
Hopefully it'll come back. The first one, I just keep going back to the idea that this movie is like one of those movies that we remember being a lot better than it actually is. And I completely forgot the thing. Oh, I remember. We haven't gotten to Uncut Gems yet, but I think having seen Uncut Gems, I feel pretty excited. There's maybe some connections or like similarities in the plots and like the main character that Adam Sandler plays. So I'm excited for that. But other than that, yeah.
Harry, Aubrey, yes, no.
I mean, well said by Will. But I agree with Will.
Thank you.
I definitely think like it's not like the best movie I've ever seen. Not even the best Adam Sandler movie I've ever seen. But it's like, you know, like if I saw it on cable, I might turn it on. Maybe.
Okay. I think that's a good way to segue into what we disliked and what's problematic about the film, because I think if it was on cable and I saw it and I clicked it and it was still
You
30 minutes,
clicked.
yeah, ha, 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 and it was still 30 minutes in, I would pause my television to let it catch up to about 50 minutes in, and then I would hit play. Like the first 50 minutes of that movie, while it is good to like set up like I guess the family unit and like why we should care about these people, everything else is backdrop and I hate it. So before I get on my soapbox, I can talk for hours. I'm gonna let y'all go first so y'all can talk about what y'all didn't like first, and I'll chime in with y'all.
Yeah, I think you could probably shave off like, it was about 2 hours long. You could probably shave off like the first 20, 30 minutes or so of it, because a lot of it was just like, as you said, establishment. And I don't know, I just feel like that could have been a lot snappier.
I feel like there was almost pointless exposition to it in the beginning. Like, I understand that all exposition in the end does have a purpose. It does reveal more about the character. But I feel like most of it was redundant anyways.
I don't know if it's just Adam Sandler movies, but I feel like I think it's just Adam Sandler movies. They're always very loud. I know that's a really random observation, but just Adam Sandler, like the characters he plays, he is just constantly speaking like he's yelling, you know?
This is true. I completely agree. He's always yelling. He's always like, "Hey guys," you know. It's very boisterous.
What was that, Adam Sandler?
I almost said something and then I was like, maybe.
Sort of sees that as sort of. Yeah, that was Adam Sandler.
I almost said something, but I'm not sure if it's been problematic. So I'm gonna keep my mouth shut. But like, yes, I agree that like his movies are like really loud, and sometimes unnecessarily so. Like, it took me 2 days to watch this movie, which is hilarious for me, because it was only like an hour and 47 minutes, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna watch the first 50, and then I'm gonna go to bed because I'm tired, and then I'm gonna watch the rest like tomorrow. And I got like a 45, not even 45 minutes. I got like 40 maybe minutes in and was like, nope. I think I turned it off. When did I turn it off? I turned it off at a very specific scene because I was so annoyed. I think it was one of the scenes with his wife. Oh, I know what it was. It was when his wife was like, do you remember the song that was playing during our first kiss? And that's when I said, click. I said, I can't. I said, I can't. I said, I could not. That's one of like I'm glad that like mostly that joke is like fizzled out, and now the joke has kind of like been replaced with like this was our something at our wedding, when it's like a far more important part of like someone's life.
Yeah,
But
like the song we danced to at our wedding.
yeah,
It's
that would have been more impactful.
Do you remember the song? Do you I've been
Remember the
asked a
song?
similar question before, and it's not. I'm like, I was like, no, and they got mad at me.
I'm just thinking, I'm like, I have good memory, like the memory of like an elephant, but I don't think I would ever ask my significant other when I'm like I don't know, not even in a bad mood, but like when I don't even think I'd ever ask them ever. Like, do you remember the song that was playing when we first kissed? Unless it was like some song that was like super important to us, or it was attached to another memory. If it was like, oh, we're at a concert and Frank Ocean is singing this song and this is when we kissed, then I'd probably expect you to remember that. But like y'all are sitting in a bar, like writing each other notes on like napkins, and like the Cranberries just happen to be playing in the background, but I'm supposed to remember that. Like,
I have a problem with the Cranberries. Well, not like a problem, but like, I don't know. I'm kind of like, I have mixed feelings about them.
explain.
I feel like, my okay, so the moment I'm recalling is a friend of mine was sitting in my kitchen after spending the night poorly singing a song by the Cranberries intentionally, but then he played me the song and it sounded very similar, so I was a little upset about it. But I don't know. The Cranberries just, I don't know. I think it's the vocalist in the Cranberries that really makes me upset.
Cloris and I are upset at you, so we're gonna move on. Another thing that like made me really upset was like the running joke of the dog and the duck.
Yeah, that was
like-
not funny. I was like, Adam, you need to stop.
Like
Yeah, it's just
it was like the first time when like the little girl goes, "Oh my God, look, they're wrestling," and I'm like, okay, that's kind of funny because of course like kids point at things and they're like, "Look at this." I was like, that's kind of funny. But then when he was like, what immediately ruined that joke for me was when he was like, "This is something that you guys don't need to know about for like 10 to 30 years," and he points at his son and goes, "You 10," and then points at his daughter and goes, "You 30." And I was like, if she's 6 now, that's when she's 36. LOL, okay. And if he's 10 now, that's when he's 20. LOL, okay. I was like, I hate this. I was like, and if he's like 8, that's when he's 18. Like, still no. I was like, no, that's a huge gap. So I was like, this is ridiculous. But that was like my least favorite joke. No, it wasn't. But that was like one of my least favorite jokes throughout the whole.
It wasn't a good joke. It just wasn't.
yeah.
The only time that it kind of got better again was when the last dog was sitting the duck in his lap and was like lounging on the beanbag. That's when it was kind of funny. And that's when I was like, okay, now that's like so ridiculous. But all the other ones were not. It's funny. So.
The only thing that I found funny with the dog is whenever he turns the volume down on the dog, because I'm like, I wish I could do that. But other than that, like, I don't think the dog was very funny.
When Adam was trying to fake emotion, when he found out that Sundance died, that scene was funny to me because it was so forced. Like, it was so forced. I was like, you really could have like stopped that and like not. You could have had like you find out that Sundance is dead and you have a very visceral reaction and then cut to the next thing. Because I was like, this is so ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. And it was like, how did the dog die in a year? What happened? What did the dog do? Did the dog suddenly develop like an illness? Because the dog was healthy and was like fairly young looking. So I was like, what does that mean? But yeah. I know other people have problems with this film, so I can't keep talking.
I feel like I don't know, like all the characters aside from Adam Sandler and aside from Christopher Walken were pretty much bland placeholders, you know?
Yeah.
It was-
I mean, like, David Hasselhoff was in the movie, and I, quite frankly, have no, I'm like, he didn't have to be in the movie. I feel like it was just a name.
yeah,
You know,
it's
like,
just that's what he do is Adam Sandler, but you know.
I don't know. I don't.
Hon-
What? What's that?
Honestly, take the whole part about the family out. Take everything about the family out. Take away his job. Take away everything. And it could have just been Adam Sandler just is dicking around and he found a remote on like the side of the road and it controls everything.
I feel like the Bed
And then
Bath and
it
Beyond
would've been
bit
the
should
same
still
movie.
be there.
Okay, that's fair. But like it could just be Adam Sandler as doing his deal and he walks in the Bed Bath Beyond because why not? And he finds the remote and it would fundamentally be like the same movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't even have the dog jokes.
My problem is it made $240.7 million.
Okay.
That's my problem. I
Well,
have
I
a
mean,
lot, like the movie. Okay, like yeah, sure. The movie was like 2006 good. That's what it was. It was 2006 good, but I don't think it deserved $240 million. I just don't.
But you also have to remember that, like, for a long time, Adam Sandler was like the go-to for like comedy movies. So that's not surprising, because like you had most of his movies were like late '90s to early 2000s, and then they kind of fizzle off around the middle, and then he like his last two like big movies that I can remember is like Bedtime Stories, which is way toned down than what this is, and then Grown Ups 1 and 2.
Bedtime Stories is a good alternative to this movie.
If I didn't need Disney Plus, I would have recommended us watching that one maybe instead.
I love Bedtime Stories. What was that movie where he was a dad?
All of them?
No. Where touche. Where he was where a notable plot point was that his girlfriend was cheating on him with like an older man. And she left him, and then his son turns up on his doorstep and he has to raise his son.
What?
Yeah.
I've never heard of this movie.
Oh, wait, let me.
Hold on. We're doing our Googles. Well, I'm doing that. You mean Big Daddy?
Yes, that one. That was a good movie.
I've never heard of it.
Big Daddy is like his 1990 movie where I'm not sure if like the cheating part aspect of it happened, but I do know it's Cole Sprouse who's in that movie.
Cole Sprouse is in that movie?
Yeah, Cole Sprouse is his son.
That's awesome.
How?
But like, I mean, Dylan Sprouse is also in the movie because they look alike. They looked more alike when they were younger than they do now. But yeah, they didn't really like puberty really fraternalized those two sons. So yeah. But yeah, I just remember Cole Sprouse was like the kid in that movie. So yeah, and Steve Buscemi's in that one. So
Steve Buscemi is in that one.
and I think Adam Sandler's actual son is in this movie. Yes. Yes, I think that's Adam Sandler's actual son is in this movie. Yes. Let's see. I'm trying to get like my kind of like gripes, but not like what I actually found super problematic about the movie out of the way. I'm trying to get like my like little nitpicky things out. I'm trying to think because everything else besides like the dog and like the really ridiculous like first date song question are like these are reasons why I'm glad movies have changed now. Type of plot points and things of that nature. What I didn't appreciate was Jennifer Coolidge is in this movie, and I know that's like her whole like typecast or whatever, and like every single movie she's in is kind of like either the ditzy dumb friend, the ditzy like kind of slutty friend, or she's like the hopeless romantic who's never gonna actually find love. And that's really, really annoying. She was even that same exact character in American Teenager, Secret from American Teenager, years later, and I didn't understand it. Still don't understand it.
I feel like a lot of movies in 2000, like the early to mid 2000s, definitely like it was essentially like a game of Mad Libs where they had like a set of like they had like this like they had insert actor name here, and they had like the main character, and like the cast list was like there has to be that hopeless romantic friend or that friend that is like like the friend of the main female character that's like slutty or whatever. Like there has to be like all these characters in order for it to be a successful movie.
I can see that.
And it's bad.
Bad. Okay, so now I'm gonna move on to like the problematic parts of the film before we move on to final thoughts. And then I'm trying to figure out how we're gonna rate this movie this time.
Let's rate it clips out of clack.
So we'll
Or
figure out
not,
how to
we don't
rate
have to
this.
do that.
We'll figure out how to rate this later on. Problematic points of the movie. Does anybody else want to start before I get on my soapbox? Because I have so many gripes
Please.
about the things that are problematic in this film.
So like, okay, this is not even like a gripe necessarily with this film, but like Adam Sandler and his movies, like his like wife or his like love interest is always like much younger than him and much more attractive than him. Anybody agree?
Is
Like,
Kate
you know
Beckinsale
what I mean?
that much younger than Adam Sandler?
Like, I feel like she is, or maybe it's just because I've seen more Adam Sandler movies where he's done this.
Adam Sandler is 53 and Kate Beckinsale is 46. So not too far.
See, she's like, I
She's
don't
less
know,
than 10
but
years
she
younger
like
than him.
she looks younger than him.
Yeah. I think what
Maybe
you're more
I'm
so
just an
trying
idiot.
I think what you're more so trying to get at is that in a lot of Adam Sandler's films, he has like this smoking hot wife that's supposed to just deal with this like
Yeah,
average to almost below average, because that's the joke, white man. And it's like, how? Especially when they do that like back in time scene when he's trying to figure out what that song is, and he's like looking real bummy, and he's like, why are you even with me? Because I look gross. And I was like, maybe she likes you, son. I don't want to tell you. Maybe she
It all
likes
seems
you.
very like superficial. Their whole relationship did.
yeah.
I feel like when
Or the
other
movie.
people talked about it, it felt superficial, but when they talked about it, it didn't. I don't think they
I can see
developed
that.
it well, if that makes sense. Because it felt like when Janine was in the house and they were like talking and like kissing, it was like, oh, this is something that I aspire to be. When Morty's talking about her, it's just like, oh, the hot wife, which is gross. And then, but it's like when it's like Adam and I cannot remember her name. When it's like, I almost want to say Heather, but that's not her name in the movie. When it's Michael and Donna, it's like, oh, you know, there's like love there, and they like portray that there's love there, but they didn't like go deep enough for us to like also fully believe it, if that makes sense. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I understand that. That makes sense.
So yeah, maybe I'm reading too much into it because I'm trying to be positive, but kind of how I viewed it. David Hasselhoff's character in the entirety of every single scene he is in, I almost feel like it's supposed to be satirical. Almost feel like that is supposed to be satirical, but I hate it so much. I hate the walking into the office and every single moderately attractive woman is like, not moderately, they're extra hot for no reason. Is like, hello, Mr. Newman, in the very like sultry, seductive way. Hated that.
Yeah, I thought that was like hands down the worst part of the movie because it's just kind of like in your face for no reason, you know? It's like they spend so much time setting this up whenever it doesn't even actually have like any like purpose. Whenever
It added
they
no
could've-
meaning to the movie,
exactly.
and therefore should
Yeah.
not have been in the movie.
Was he even in like a important position in the office at that time? Like, I don't think he was.
No, he was just an associate at that time.
He was just some guy, and they were like, oh.
It was like, that was something that like when I started rewatching it and he walks in and it's like, oh, hello, Mr. Newman. I was like, is there a whole subplot where he cheats on his wife? Like that I just forgot about? The answer was no. But like, if they had made him cheat on his wife with one of like the super hot secretary ladies, it would have made more sense as to why, not more sense, it would have added another layer as to why their relationship broke up than just like he was on autopilot, so he fast forwarded through all these important parts of his life. If that makes sense. Like it would have made, like it would have probably grounded the, like, and I hate using women's pain or whatever as like a part, as like a plot point, but it would have, I feel like it would have grounded the movie more. Like it would have made like more sense of like he got all he wanted. He became like a real big shot, and then he like slept with someone just because he could. And maybe that would have like made something different.
I definitely feel like the autopilot is a cop out of like a movie thing, and I understand that like probably in 2006 they were like, what are we gonna do while he's on fast forward or while he's fast forwarding through his life, and like we'll just put him on autopilot. Like then I don't know. I don't think that would have made. I think that they could have done better with it, and I think that if they made it in 2020, which I could not be more adamant about, they should not remake this movie. But knowing Hollywood, they will likely remake this movie, and it makes me really mad. But I definitely feel like that they could add something interesting that he did when he fast forwarded, like cheated with one of the moderately to surprisingly attractive people that work in the office.
Ooh. This is like back to like dislikes. I forgot how awful 2000s fashion was because oh my god, when he walks into this office and they're all like in business like casual clothing and it's still kind of like supposed to be slutty or whatever, it's all atrocious. It's all ugly. And I as a child of like the late 2000s, early 2010s, I understand that like I also contributed to this awful idea, this awful and ugly idea of what like 2000 sexy was, because I also was like the girl who wore like the push-up bras in like the low cut Victoria's Secret tank tops because they're cute. I get it. I understand. I was there. I lived that life. But my God, these were adult people wearing these things. Like, oh, it was so awful. Like, kind of going back to David Hasselhoff's character. Hated that he was like supposed to be like the boss who's like supposed to put work above family, which makes sense. But you also don't have, you can also make your boss be like insensitive to family without being like just a sexist asshole. That would have been like when they had the sexual harassment training and he was like, yeah, the office slut Stacy. And she's like, and like at first she's so offended and then she like thinks about it and she's like, okay, but I am. And I was like, hold on. I said,
like that was not okay.
I was like, no, I hate it.
I was watching the movie in the dining room, right? In the dining room, the living room, and my family's in the living room, and I'm watching the movie in the dining room, and she was like, all right, and I was like, oh my God, like I exclaimed it, and they're like, what? And I'm like, 2006 is what I said.
It just is what it is. That part got me, and I was like, so upset. Like I was like, that is grade A, just ridiculous. The other two things that like really got me were like the other things that got me like the two very blatant racist jokes that were happening in the movie. The one that was the what is it? Prince Habibu.
Oh, that was like,
and
I hated that.
That man is a white Jewish man. I'm pretty sure he's Jewish. I could be wrong about Rob Schneider. Is Rob Schneider Jewish? But it's Rob Schneider in brown face. I had to look it up because I was like, who is this man? Because at first I looked too quickly and thought it was Ben Kingsley and was like, there is no way Adam Sandler offered Ben Kingsley enough money to play this like stereotypical role. There's no way. And then I looked it up and I was like, who is it? And the thing is when you look it up on Google won't tell you who it is. The only reason I got suspicious is because Google will give you a list of characters and it gives you like one of the guys in Habibu's entourage and that guy was white. And I was like, wait, what? I was like, if that guy is white, then that must mean everybody else is white. So that's why I looked it up and I was like, yes.
So interesting thing about Rob
Hold
Schneider.
on. Excuse me?
Ooh,
This can't be real. Oh my God.
So Rob Schneider, his dad is Jewish, but his mom is Catholic, which only makes him half Jewish because in order for you to be entirely Jewish, you either need to have a Jewish mother or both Jewish parents.
Okay. Noted. Nice.
Anyway, what were you exclaiming about?
Elliot Cho is in this movie. And for those of you guys who don't know who Elliot Cho is, this is Elliot Cho. We all know who Elliot Cho is. Elliot Cho is apparently 25. Didn't realize that. He's apparently 25. And he's also like the little kid, like the little Asian kid who's like the swimmer in the movie. I think his name is in the movie is like Ping Wo or something like that. Ping Wu. Hated that joke as well. I was like, you could have just given him like
you could have called him Charles and it would have been fine.
You could have kept the last name. You just got to change the first. Don't know why it had to be extra Chinese or whatever. Jeez. But yeah, that joke got that one with Ping, the one with Prince Habibu. Also the fact that like no one could say Habibu. Hubba Bubba was one of the names. I'm sorry. Anyway, so mad. And then like the other racist joke was when they go out to dinner with all of like the Japanese partners, and Michael. This is how you know like Michael's supposed to be like a good guy and like a hard worker, because Michael goes home and like tries. Like, he watches what that Japanese investor says is a bad architecture movie, but he tries to learn more about the culture and make designs that fit the design. And so he tries. He also like learns about Japanese culture a little bit to be able to hold a conversation with the clients. But then you have David Hasselhoff's character who they're talking about important Japanese baseball players. And David Hasselhoff's like, yeah, I don't mind. I would take either one of those. Just sashimi it up real quick. And you're like, you're like, what are you talking? You're like, even I didn't know their names, but I was like, that doesn't sound right at all, because they were talking, because like the context of the conversation, they're talking about something else. And he was like, yeah, just like, I don't care. He made it seem like it was two different pieces of fish. And he was like, yes. And I was like, but these are obviously names. And fish's names don't change just because it's fish have the same name. Doesn't matter the continent. Like, what? Sorry. What are you gonna say, Harry?
Did you mention Japanese baseball players?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I just want to point out that there are a lot of Japanese baseball players that are even in the MLB. So just to like say that he doesn't have any idea about their names is like adding on to that more, because there are a fair amount of players that come from Japan to play baseball in the MLB. So it's just furthermore,
besides I had to do like a project or something on it, and by project I mean I had to research it for something. Besides like the Caribbean / Hispaniola, Hispaniola, Japan's like the next biggest, if not the first biggest, with like Hispanic countries, like Hispanic Caribbean countries being the second biggest importer of baseball players.
Arguably one of the greatest baseball players, definitely in our time, was from Japan, Ichiro Suzuki. One of the best baseball players to ever play the game. And also another good player, Shohei Ohtani from Japan. Anyway, we'll stop talking about baseball now because I've stopped the conversation. So
no, you didn't, because I could also have continued on to it. And I think, I'm trying to remember the names. I'm not sure if they made up baseball players' names for the film to keep people's names out of it so that they didn't have to like
pay them
potentially get sued for that. Like, I don't know if they made
I
them
would
up.
sue if I was in Click. If I was mentioned in
If I
Click, I
was in
would
Click,
definitely sue.
I would sue.
But yes, so those, like the sexist jokes, the racist jokes got me. And then like, it wasn't that, no, I can't even say that. But like the one transphobic joke that's in the movie is like, I hate just, of course, I don't know if this was within the realm of when you stopped or after you stopped, but there's a whole portion of the movie where it's after he gets his promotion, he's talking to his new secretary, and he's like, what happened to my old secretary? And he was like, and his secretary was like, well, she got moved to a different department, and don't forget they want to be referred to as Alan now, which, I mean, they kept pronouns out of it. They tried to be as respectful as possible, but then when you pan over to her, because it's, while she's pretending to be a man, it's still just, it's like, oh my God. It's like they tried to bring kind of like SNL jokes into this film, and it did not work. Because that was one of them where I was like, oh, I know this woman from SNL. So I know why you're bringing her in here for this kind of slapsticky comedy, but I hate it. Also, every time she asked him if she can go to the bathroom, why was that a thing? Yeah. And like, I partially think because they kind of established it with like the James Earl Jones voiceover the first time, that maybe she was just messing with him to get on his nerves because she didn't like him. But I was still just like, oh, this is atrocious, and I hate it, and I want it to stop. I don't know if there's any other gripes that we have with this movie, but yes, the only other one I have is that joke. is like the fat jokes that
Oh
never
yeah,
stop.
never mind. I do have gripes. That was dumb, and it really shouldn't have been a thing. Like, Adam Sandler. Like, that's all I can say.
It was, I don't know which one was worse. Was when he like wakes up and he's supposed to be like 400 pounds, or when he goes over to his house and it's like fat Jonah Hill. So that's when like Jonah Hill was only funny because he was fat apparently, even though Jonah Hill's hilarious regardless. You have fat Jonah Hill on the couch who's like rubs himself so much that he's now like this fat teenager. Or like when he hits his head, it fast forwards and he loses all this weight because he's been in and out of a coma for like the last couple of years because he had cancer, and he's the only person to gain weight on chemo. That's not true at all.
Yeah, that was not good. I hated that.
That really made me think the whole bit about like, the whole bit about the cancer kind of made me upset.
Yeah.
Because yeah.
Yeah, cancer is like a sore spot for a lot of people. So it was like, and I feel like you can make jokes about cancer. You just have to do them in ways where like it has to you have to do it in a way that's like not necessarily tasteful, if that makes sense, but it has to land. If it even doesn't land in the slightest, it's just like, oh, this is awful.
Yeah, and it didn't work because it was just such like a throwaway joke. Like, I'm surprised like I even caught it because she says it so like, I don't know, quickly, I don't know. I was just like,
It's like a throwaway. And then like everything is supposed to be a problem. Like everything is supposed to be a problem. The fact that he gained all the weight, which is honestly probably from the stress of having a career and like a falling apart marriage and and like his already unhealthy eating habits. Like there was probably reasons as to why he gained the weight. We don't talk about that. We just make fun of him for gaining the weight. We make fun of his son for gaining weight. When they're trying to talk to each other, you can see that there's underlying issues there. I'm not talking about. Then when they both lose the weight, it's like a good job, but also we can't let you forget that you were fat once. Here's this like comical fat pouch of skin that's just still on your body, and you're gonna make it into a joke for the next 5 minutes. Like I said, it's like the first 50 minutes could just be erased. It would be okay.
Yeah, I definitely feel like that. I mean, like, it's why it's like, it's like, it's like, it's there, the movie. So it's like,
Yeah, we're gonna move on because if I keep going, I'm gonna find more and more things to gripe about. Cloris, you look like you had something to say before Will started talking. Did you have something to say?
sorry.
I do not remember what I was gonna say. I feel like, I don't know, I just feel like my main gripe about the movie, the whole premise of it just seems so trivial. Like I don't know, it was just very hard for me to connect to a character in this movie, or like not to connect, but I guess to like sympathize and understand what he was going through and why he was making the choices he was making. So that's why like I kept getting upset. So I had to like stop watching the movie just because I was like, again, it's not like the worst movie I've ever seen or anything like that. It's a fine movie, but I feel like if it's gonna, it presents itself, then what it was intended to be, maybe, I guess. I don't know. Which is where you see like all of these really bad jokes just fall flat.
I also think that there are some plot holes in the movie. Like the very first plot hole is that was evident to me is when he's having the conversation with Morty after he like fast forwarded like to the promotion that took a year, and he was like, I missed all this stuff. He was like, how do I change it? How do I change it? And I was like, easy, you just rewind. Like you just rewind back to the moment you're about to press the button, and then make yourself
Punch
not
yourself
press
in
the
face
button.
so you don't press the button.
Basically, so you don't press the
Destroy
button.
the remote so you don't press like. But I also understand that like the reason that they didn't have him rewind was because they wanted to kind of convey that time moves in one direction.
Maybe.
So
that's a very deep intellectual thought that I'm not sure Adam Sandler and his production team put into
there's
it.
No way. There's no way they could have even come up with that if they were given like years.
But yeah, okay.
I've talked about time travel a lot because of Endgame, so when it comes to time travel, I could usually come up with a few solid sounding ideas.
Hey, I don't blame you. So we're gonna move on to final thoughts and then rating the movie. So who wants to go first with final thoughts? Preferably not Will or Harry.
Okay, never mind.
I feel like I've kind of summarized my final thoughts on it a few times. Again, just a fine movie. Poor choice in topics or issues.
Yeah, it was okay. Like I was going to say like I don't regret spending almost 2 hours watching it, but I'm not sure if I'm quite there. Like I think I could probably use those 2 hours for something else, but it was okay. Really the only character that I like kind of liked was Henry Winkler.
I love Henry Winkler.
Underrated gem.
Yeah. He's so good. And then I feel like they could have done more with Christopher Walken. Like I feel like there was a whole bunch of untapped potential there. Like he could have been like this huge villain, maybe, but they didn't really go too far with that. It was okay.
If I had to summarize it, I'd just say keep it in 2006. Like it's just keep it there. We'll never talk about it ever again.
So you say it has no rewatch value?
No, it doesn't. It's just it's really just like nothing is as good or better than any other Adam Sandler movie. Like I'd definitely much rather watch Big Daddy or Bedtime Stories or Grown Ups 1 or 2 or 50 First Dates. Like they're just better Adam Sandler movies out there that I'd rather watch than this. That being said, if I'm in the mood for an Adam Sandler movie, which is seldom, and it's on TV, which is probably even more rare, then I might turn it on. Yeah, then I might turn it on. But like outside of that, just keep it in 2006.
William.
Yeah, that's how I feel pretty much. I just like keep it in 2006 for one, but like on the other hand, like this is like his most mediocre movie. I feel like it just like it offers nothing short of like what would become like the standard Adam Sandler formula for like the next, I don't know, for the next like 30 years or however long he's gonna survive off making mediocre, unfunny comedy movies. You know, and like this was just like a really bad remake of It's a Wonderful Life, but Adam Sandler. So, overall, I think Murder Mystery is a lot more solid as an Adam Sandler movie. And
Was that good?
seen that.
It was Adam Sandler. It was Adam Sandler, but
It's Adam
so I don't know.
Sandler and Jennifer Aniston.
I remember my mom was watching that movie a while back, and I never asked her how it was.
Murder Mystery. Is it called Murder Mystery?
Yeah, it's on Netflix.
Yes, it is.
Adam
Oh,
Sandler,
it's
Jennifer
a
Aniston.
new one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's newer.
I was confusing it with Blended. That's what I was confusing it with.
I've never
It's
seen that.
another Adam Sandler's movie, and I don't think it's. I think it's Heidi, whatever her last name is, something with a K. I think it's Heidi, not Klum, but
We should play a game where we name all the Adam Sandler movies. See if we can do it.
in a second. I think my final takeaways are maybe I need to watch more Adam Sandler's movies, because I feel like while this might still be one of my favorite Adam Sandler's movies, I think it's hard to say that and justify that with a lot of the jokes that are made within the first 50 minutes of the movie. Ooh, sorry. Another highlight of the movie for me is when when he's being born and they can't find his schmeckle. That was a kind of funny joke. Only because, like, newborn babies, you can't really tell the genitalia apart really anyway. So the fact that it was extra hard was just like extra funny, I guess. But yeah, I think with the jokes that are made, like with the first 50 minutes of the movie, I can't justify it being my all-time favorite Adam Sandler's movie anymore, given that I've seen The Grown-Ups 1 and 2, Bedtime Stories, and like Big Daddy. Even though I hate that title, but
The
yeah,
title is
the title is like awful, but like yeah. So there's that. Now, I don't know how to rate this movie because there's no like consistent way of rating this movie unless you like rated it out of, I don't even know. You could rate it out of clicks or you could rate it out of fast forwards. But I'd have to pay attention to how many times he fast forwarded in the movie, and I do not remember how many times he fast forwarded.
Would you click on it? Would you click on this movie?
probably not. No.
We all did. So
Well, this was our job to click on the movie and watch the movie.
Okay,
Would
so
you,
that's
if,
not
I mean, like, I feel like a good way to rate it would, like, you know, if would you click on it again?
no, not for a while. And
Only
even if
if
I
I'm
did,
just
I'd
like-
fast forward 50 minutes.
Fair point.
Only if I was just like, only like ironically, because it's just like such a stupid movie, you know. But otherwise,
what?
no.
If this were 2006, I was sick on my father's couch downstairs in a blanket, had a fever, couldn't go to school, and this movie came on, I would click on it. There we go.
Okay.
It has to be in 2006 though. But in 2020, probably not. In 2006, with like very limited ideas of what it means to be racist and sexist and kind of transphobic and things of that nature, it would have gotten more laughs in my book. And now as an adult looking at this with this like a lens that's not a child's, don't think I can watch it again for a while.
So would you say that it's clickbait? I've been
William.
waiting to make that joke for like 10 minutes.
I'm so glad that it was made. All right.
Why haven't any of us seen that coming?
Oh no, I saw it coming the moment he started opening his mouth. I was like, I'm waiting for click and the word bait to come out. But every time he spoke, it did not come out of his mouth until right then. So I was like, okay, he's not gonna make that joke. I appreciate it. No, you're fine.
That was a good joke.
Okay. So we rated it kind of, sort of. We talked about it. We griped about it. We're watching Uncut Gems next. What are our hopes for that one?
Is
Mine
Uncut Gems on
focus.
Caneflix?
Yes, on Kineflix. I think it's supposed to be on Netflix soon, but it's not there yet.
I think I heard Parasite is on Hulu also.
Yeah,
Yes, it is. I watched it recently. Please, can we review that?
That's what's after Uncut
It's
Gems.
incredible. Oh man, I don't want to wait.
It's 2 weeks. It's literally 2 weeks.
I know, but I have to watch Uncut Gems first.
You've already watched
Another
Parasite.
Adam
You can
Sandler?
watch Parasite again.
You can watch Parasite again.
I know. I'm just excited to talk about it because I liked it.
Not that you were like, no, I'm good. I don't want to watch it again, actually. Okay, but like minus Cloris, what are we hoping to get of Uncut Gems with Adam Sandler?
So can you give us like a sort of like, without spoilers, like kind of description of it? So I can get like kind of in the headspace.
Yes. I'm going to give you the synopsis. Like the what are we trying to catch your attention? I'm giving them a Google thing because that's like the most general version of it.
Yeah.
A charismatic jeweler makes a high stakes bet that could lead to the windfall of a lifetime. In a precarious high wire act, he must balance business, family, adversaries, all on all sides in pursuit of the ultimate win.
That's like basically the same premise as Click. The same stakes.
Did they remake Click?
So one thing, I work in a jewelry store, past tense now because due to coronavirus, everyone got laid off. Haha. But anyways, so I worked in a jewelry store, and the amount of times that I geeked out during this movie, just from jeweler knowledge, it was, yes.
I'm excited to see how Judaism is represented in 2020. Did it come out in 2020 or 2019?
2019.
Okay, so I'm excited to see how it's represented in 2019 because I'm pretty sure that's one of the defining characteristics of Adam Sandler's character. So I'm excited for that.
I mean, that's like the defining characteristic of most of Adam Sandler's movies. He just doesn't always say it.
Well, I mean, I feel like he's outwardly portraying and like conveying that he is Jewish, and then like of course it's like Adam Sandler is Jewish, and like you go into those movies and you're kind of like, all right, well, he's Jewish, so you kind of know it in the back of your head, but not many of his movies is he actually like is that part of his character. So I'm excited to see how that ties into his character and the potential development, and probably some really bad stereotypes about Jews. We'll see.
You all control the media, and I will never let you forget it. I hate that so much. That hurt coming out of my mouth. I might vomit.
No.
And I'm not joking.
Oh no.
That actually physically hurt. Okay, sorry. I just finished watching Hunters. Have you started Hunters, Harry?
No, I haven't started Hunters.
Please start Hunters. It's so good.
What's it on?
It's on Amazon Prime.
Okay. What's it about?
It's about a group of people who hunt Nazis.
Right up my alley. Let's go. Get
It's
Amazon
like,
Prime right now.
it has Logan Lerman and Al Pacino in it. It's
You
so
had me at hunting Nazis. You
It's
had
so
me
good.
at hunting Nazis.
It takes place, I want to say, in the 70s or 80s. So it's like right after World War II, and like kind of in this like little gray area of like we're still kind of in the Cold War, or like Jimmy Carter's president. So maybe not. Maybe we're out of the Cold War. Maybe we're out of the Cold War. Jimmy Carter's president, and there's like basically this whole subplot, not subplot, but like whole conspiracy theory that Nazis have infiltrated like the American government and American like society, and American politicians knew and let them do it because it would help them beat the Soviets in the Cold War. And that's like the baseline of what I'm going to give you.
Well, I'm gonna start watching it.
Yeah. But there's like a whole joke in the movie because it's about Jewish people, and I think the writers are Jewish. They have these little bits where it'll be like where it'll be like, how do you? There's one bit where it's like how to spot a Nazi. And it's really funny because they have this little black girl on this show, and she's like, they're white, and the other Jewish guy's like, yes, and then he says something else. And then she goes, they're white. And then he's like, okay. And then says something else about how to spot a Nazi. And then he's like, are there any more takeaways? And she goes, they're white. And he was like, not all Nazis are white. And she's like, yeah, but aren't they? and then he goes, all right, so we're gonna, and it was like a thing of like, no, we know that's not 100% true, but yes, because we kind of know it's true. So there's like little bitty bits like that are like scattered within the show, and they're just like they're funny because they're funny because they're supposed to be satirical because they're not supposed to have like you would not have a game show where we're trying to spot a Nazi. So they're kind of like trying to be satirical, but they're like if you're a minority. Like they're extra funny because you're just like, yes, these are people we hate, like, and we just don't want to deal with on the daily basis, and now we get to like kind of make fun of them in a way. So it was like great. I'm not Jewish, but I love everything in the show.
That's a really bit. That's a really funny bit. Right, but aren't they?
Have you guys seen Jojo Rabbit?
No, it's on my list. I have literally so much to do for all my classes. I have not had the time to watch a movie like outside of like this.
For work, yeah. That's not the same. I have not really done. I started a new anime, and by new, I just mean it's old, but I just started it.
What anime?
Hold on. I'm trying to see. Hold on. Trying to make sure I don't mispronounce this. It is. Oh my god. It is Haiku, Haikyu. It's the volleyball one.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
I am literally like 3 episodes in, and I don't know if I hate the main characters yet or if I like love the main characters. Yeah, I do know I can't remember his name, but he used to be referred to as like the king of the court. Hate him. Like he's just so annoying. Like I just like he's like he's like trying to be so machismo. It's annoying. Like he's like you can't be nice and like play volleyball, and I'm like that doesn't make any sense.
Is it like super cutthroat about volleyball?
Yes, in certain scenes, yes. Like the first episode is like a middle school volleyball tournament, and like the team that walks in that's with the guy who's like the main character you're supposed to root for. His team walks in, and they look like middle schoolers. Like they're like short, kind of awkward, but they like are athletic because they're playing a sport, right? And then like the other main character who you're not supposed to like, the guy who's called the king of the court, his team walks in, and it's like he goes to the school where all the kids started hitting puberty before everybody else. So like the first team walks in and they're like maybe 5'4", 5'5", and then the other team walks in and they're like 5'8", 5'10". So they're all like super tall compared.
So they won the tournament already then.
Yes, like they immediately walk in and everybody goes, "Oh my god, it's that school. We're gonna lose." And then they play or whatever, and like you're supposed to be like, "Okay, this is just volleyball or whatever." And then the main character, like one of his teammates sets the ball bad, so the ball like bounces off his fingers and goes backwards instead of going over the net. So and they're like, nobody's there to catch it. This is gonna be an easy point for us, and we're gonna win. And then out of nowhere, he like Sonic the Hedgehog speeds across the court and like kicks the ball over the net. And the guy on the other team is like he like stops, and it's like a slow motion like thing in his head, and he goes, "How did he get there? What kind of ability strength did he have?" Like He was on the other side of the court. There's no way he got across the court that fast.
If I started watching an anime, I would watch it 100% ironically. And I'd be like an ironic fan. I'd be like, well, obviously, he's the most skilled on the court, so he ran across the court the fastest.
But that's not even that. Like, he's not even the most skilled. He just has really good agility. Like, he's like very agile, and they say that all the time. It's like he just can move really fast. The other anime that I really want to start is I can't remember what it's called. I think it's Oru Host Club or something like that. I want to start. I think is that the one where like the kids are like in like a secret society and take over the school? Is that one?
Like,
A
okay,
different one.
the host club is like this club of like the cutest boys in the school.
Okay, I'm wrong.
Yeah, they entertain like the rich girls there. Well, it's a rich school, so they entertain all the little rich girls. And there's this one girl who she is like poor and like has super short hair and everything, and she goes in there and accidentally like breaks like this vase or something. And the host club thinks she's a boy, and so they're like, okay, you work for us as like our little servant boy to pay off like this expensive vase that you broke.
Oh,
Yes.
that's not what I thought.
That
There's
does not
another-
sound okay.
But I've seen like clips and things from that one, so I know that one's also equally ridiculous and so great. But there's one, I can't remember what it's called, but there's one about like, it's some like secret society. It's not even a secret society. It's like, I think it's like called the President's Club or something. It's like these kids are on like student council or whatever, and they're like doing regular student council things, right? They're doing regular student council things like planning dances, planning like social events, doing like volunteer work, but also they like rule the school. And I don't mean like they're just like the it people. They're like literally bribing teachers to do things, extorting like the principal to get things that they want done. Like almost, it's like they haven't killed anyone, but they make threats of like death. Like it's so extreme. So extreme. I can't remember what the anime is called, and it's been on my list like forever. And now because I can't leave the house, I'm like starting all the animes I've wanted to watch. So I'm super excited about it.
Wait, is it like legitimately like insane? Is it like one of those fighting animes, right?
No, not necessarily.
Okay,
Like
I'm thinking
anime,
something else.
there are so many different like types. There's like the super like kind of weird ones. By weird, I mean like mystical kind of just powers ones. Those are the ones like Bleach and Dragon Ball Z, the ones that we know in like the States. And then there's like the slice of life ones, which are like the volleyball club one, where it's like people are like living everyday life, but with like things that are just slightly over dramatized. And then there's like ones that kind of like political or whatnot, and that's one of the ones that's like political, because these children are literally extorting professors to get things that they want done, and it's hilarious. So bad. But we need to wrap this up. We've gotten distracted on the highest of keys, finding things that actually make us happy. I'm going to stop this, and then I'm probably going to talk for like a second afterwards because, you know, friends and catching up. But I'm Adam Sandler's weird sex shadow, signing off. Don't know who's going to say goodbye next, but yeah.
I
Adam
am.
Sandler dying, signing off.
Did I decide on Morty? I'm Morty.
Yeah.
Signing off.
I am Bed Bath and Beyond employee, signing off.
I am the broke treehouse, still not fixed, signing off.
Bye, guys.
Adios.
See ya.